My girlfriend dumped me because I went to go check if she was okay after she didn't respond for 4 days. Posted by you/YoungTomSoy. It was a crisp September evening when fate intervened. I was walking my energetic golden retriever, Max, through our apartment complex when I first laid eyes on her. She was sitting on a bench near the community garden, her copper hair catching the last rays of sunset, creating a halo around her delicate features. She had this magnetic smile that could light up the darkest corners of your soul, and when she reached down to pet Max, I knew I was already falling. That very night, we found ourselves sharing stories over candlelit dinner at a cozy Italian restaurant, our laughter echoing through the warm autumn air. She told me about her dreams of becoming a corporate lawyer, her eyes sparkling with ambition, while I shared my own hopes and fears. The chemistry between us was electric, undeniable. Before we knew it, we were spending every precious moment together, our weekends filled with adventures and quiet moments that felt like magic. Those early days were a whirlwind of joy and discovery. We'd spend lazy Sunday mornings making pancakes in my kitchen, flour on our noses and happiness in our hearts. We explored hidden bookstores in the city, our fingers intertwined as we discovered shared favorites. She'd leave little notes in my jacket pockets, each one a tiny treasure that made my heart soar. Every moment felt like we were building something beautiful, something lasting. As autumn leaves turned golden and my heart grew fonder, she dropped a bombshell that would change everything. From mid-November to December 15th, I'll be swamped with work, she warned, her eyes clouded with concern. She explained about a major case her firm was handling, the pressure mounting in her voice. In my naive optimism, I interpreted this as a minor inconvenience, a simple reduction in our time together. Oh, how wrong I was. I couldn't have predicted the emotional desert I was about to traverse. The transformation was subtle at first, like watching shadows lengthen at dusk. The sweet goodnight, handsome, texts that used to make my heart flutter became rare gems. Our conversations, once flowing like a mountain stream, reduced to sporadic droplets. The silence between messages stretched longer and longer, like an endless winter night. I found myself staring at our old photos, trying to bridge the growing chasm between then and now. My anxiety, a sleeping dragon awakened by her absence, began to stir. After 2 weeks of barely glimpsing her, mere 5-minute encounters that felt like trying to catch smoke, my calls started echoing into the void. Our last conversation held a promise. If I finished work early that Saturday, we could finally spend time together. I spent that whole day watching the clock, my heart leaping at the thought of seeing her again. That promise turned to ash when my call went straight to voicemail. Walking my dog that evening, I noticed her apartment was shrouded in darkness, a black hole in the building's facade. The window where I used to see her silhouette working late into the night was empty now, like a painting with its subject removed. My message about her getting some rest disappeared into the digital abyss. 3 days passed, each hour feeling like an eternity. Her car sat unmoved, like an abandoned sentinel. Her windows remained perpetually dark. My mind, a treacherous companion, began painting horrific scenarios. I knew about her health struggles, her battles with depression, the soul-crushing job that seemed to be devouring her alive. I remembered how she once confided in me about her darkest moments, and the thought of her facing those demons alone was unbearable. The worry gnawed at my insides like a ravenous beast. Each passing hour felt like sandpaper against my nerves. I reached out to her best friend, my voice trembling with barely contained panic. When did you last hear from her? The answer, a week ago, only intensified my fears. Her friend's words, 4 days is plenty of space, became the permission slip I didn't know I was waiting for. She added, she does this sometimes, just disappears. But that knowledge brought no comfort. That lunch break, I found myself standing at her door, my heart thundering against my ribs like a prisoner demanding release. The darkness behind her blinds seemed to mock me. Each knock echoed through the hallway, each unanswered ring of the doorbell adding another crack to my composure. The potted plant we bought together sat withered by her doorstep, a sad metaphor for our relationship. Finally, when my knuckles were raw from knocking, a message bubble appeared on my phone. I am on a freaking client call. Stop knocking. Those words hit me like a bucket of ice water, sending me fleeing with my tail between my legs. Shame and regret followed me home like faithful shadows. My desperate attempts to explain myself through apologetic texts fell into the same void that had swallowed our relationship. I spent hours drafting and redrafting messages, each word weighted with desperation and hope. After a heart-wrenching conversation with my father, who gently pointed out the toxicity of her communication style, I made one final attempt at closure. I poured my heart into a message, each word carefully chosen, each sentence a bridge I hoped she would cross. I told her about the sleepless nights, the constant worry, The way her silence felt like a physical weight on my chest. Her response came like a thunderbolt at 4 a.m., illuminating the wreckage of our relationship. She painted a picture of 14-hour workdays that left her soul drained, barely able to crawl to her desk. Her words were clinical, detached, as if our months together had been reduced to a case file on her desk. My actions, the knocking, the unexpected visits, were cast as unforgivable transgressions. The moving car I had somehow missed became a damning piece of evidence against my perceived stalking. In one devastating message, she reduced our beautiful connection to a cautionary tale about anxiety and impatience. The warmth I once saw in her eyes had turned to ice in her words. 11 days have passed since that digital execution of our relationship. 11 days of wrestling with demons I didn't know lived inside me. The silence from her end has been deafening, a void that echoes with unanswered questions. I walk Max past her building, each time hoping and dreading to catch a glimpse of her. But in this abyss, I've found something unexpected grow. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes of my shattered expectations, I've begun to rebuild myself. Meditation has become my daily bread, journaling my confessional, and gratitude my compass. Each morning, I write down 3 things I'm thankful for, forcing myself to see light in the darkness. The gym has become my sanctuary, each rep a step away from codependency, each drop of sweat washing away my anxious tendencies. Therapy has become my mirror, reflecting truths I had been too blind to see. My therapist helps me understand that my anxiety doesn't make me unlovable, just human. Her best friend's revelation that she's gone radio silent with everyone offered a small comfort, like a band-aid on a bullet wound. She's done this before, the friend confided. Disappeared into her work until she burns out. But the truth remains as sharp as broken glass. Someone who claims to love you shouldn't leave you drowning in silence when they live just 3 minutes away. Those 3 minutes feel like light years now. I've learned that being unavailable doesn't mean becoming a ghost, that checking on someone you love isn't a crime, and that no one is too busy for a single text in 4 days. These aren't just lessons. They're boundaries I'm etching into the foundation of my future relationships. I'm learning to recognize the difference between caring deeply and losing myself in someone else's darkness. The love I felt for her still burns, a gentle flame that refuses to be extinguished. Sometimes I catch myself smiling at memories, her laugh during our cooking disasters, the way she'd scrunch her nose when concentrating, the sound of her humming while working. But I've realized something profound. I can hold this love in one hand while holding my self-respect in the other. I can't snap my fingers and erase her from my heart, but I can walk forward, carrying both the warmth of our memories and the wisdom of our ending. They say time heals all wounds. I say time reveals all truths. And the truth is, sometimes loving someone means loving yourself enough to walk away. This isn't just closure, it's metamorphosis. As I walk Max through the apartment complex now, passing her dark windows, I feel something new stirring in my chest. It's not just pain anymore. It's growth, it's strength, it's the knowledge that I am capable of loving deeply without losing myself. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all.